The galaxy thought humans were weak. To the great alien empires, Earth was a small blue world that had only recently joined the stars. They looked at humans with mocking smiles, calling them children who had wandered too far from home. And when they decided to reward humanity, they did not give them riches or advanced weapons or technology of value. No, what they gave was scrap. It was the remains of old ships, rusted metal plates, broken engines, shattered hulls that had been pulled from forgotten battlefields. To the aliens, it was worthless. They told humans it was tribute, but everyone knew the truth. It was an insult. On the trade station of Valar, alien merchants laughed as they dumped the pieces in front of the humans. They sneered at the diplomats from Earth. "Here," one alien barked with sharp teeth showing. "Take this. Build yourself a playground with it, that is all you deserve." The hall filled with cruel laughter. Other alien leaders joined in, their voices echoing through the grand chamber. To them, it was entertainment. They believed humans could never rise beyond what they were, fragile, short-lived, unworthy of the galaxy's respect. But among the crowd stood one human captain. His name was not yet known to the stars, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. He looked at the heap of so-called tribute. He saw twisted metal, melted cores, shattered weapons, but he did not laugh. Instead, he whispered to himself, so soft that only the humans beside him could hear. "They think it is junk, but they do not know us. We will show them." The other human delegates looked uneasy. Some were angry, their fists clenched. Others lowered their heads in shame at the humiliation. But the captain's words planted a spark in their hearts. Later, when the delegation returned to Earth, the news spread. Humanity had been mocked, insulted, and given trash while the galaxy laughed. But instead of despair, something else began to grow. A plan. In secret meetings, engineers gathered around the piles of scrap. They studied the alien pieces, touched the worn-out hulls, examined the broken drives. Most of it was useless. But not all. Inside the scrap were fragments of forgotten technology, pieces from ships far more advanced than Earth's. To the aliens, they were broken toys, but to humans, they were puzzles waiting to be solved. The captain spoke to the workers, his voice calm yet strong. "They believe this will break us. They think we will hide in shame. But humanity has never wasted what is given. We turn the old into the new. We turn weakness into strength. And now, we will turn their scrap into something they will never forget." The workers cheered, but in their hearts was also fear. Could such a thing truly be done? Could broken pieces become something powerful enough to challenge the galaxy itself? Still, they began. In an abandoned dockyard far from alien eyes, sparks flew. Welders worked day and night. Mechanics bent over alien engines, reworking them, reshaping them, combining their strange technology with human designs. It was slow, painful work. The scrap was old and unstable. Many times it failed. Many times it broke apart in their hands. But each failure only fueled their determination. As weeks turned to months, rumors began to spread. Across the galaxy, whispers moved from station to station. Humans are building something with the scrap. Humans are crazy. They think junk will make them powerful. Let them waste their time. It will explode before it flies. Alien laughter returned, echoing across the stars. But humans ignored it. One night, under the glow of the half-finished ship, the captain walked through the dockyard. He ran his hand along the rough, patched hull. It was not beautiful. It was not elegant like the alien cruisers that filled the galaxy, but he could feel something inside it, something alive. He whispered again, just as he had whispered on the alien station, "They do not know us, but they will learn." And so the first secret of the human warship was born. The aliens thought it was scrap, but humanity had decided it would become their weapon, their shield, their answer to the laughter of the stars. And as the engines hummed for the first time, faint and unstable but alive. A new sound filled the dockyard. Not laughter, not shame, but hope. The hook had been set. Humanity would not forgive the insult, and soon the galaxy would understand the mistake it had made. Because from the ashes of mockery, something dangerous was rising, something that would change everything. The alien laughter still echoed in the minds of many. Across the galaxy, people told jokes about the scrap ship that humans were foolishly trying to build. On alien stations, merchants shared the story with mocking grins. On war councils, admirals shook their heads and dismissed the humans as dreamers. But back on Earth, inside the hidden dockyard, something very different was happening. Sparks flew in the air. Welding torches glowed like stars. Engineers worked with greasy hands, sweat dripping down their foreheads, while machines hummed around them. What looked like piles of garbage to aliens had become puzzles to solve, secrets to unlock. The captain moved among them, his boots heavy against the steel floor. He spoke to every worker, every scientist, every mechanic, giving them strength with his calm but firm words. "Do not forget," he reminded them. They laughed at us. Every piece of this metal is their laughter. Every bolt we tighten, every plate we weld, it is our answer to that laughter. One by one, the people nodded. Some were young and fresh out of training schools, their eyes wide with both fear and excitement. Others were veterans of Earth's small fleet, carrying scars and memories of past battles. Together they worked like one body, united by the insult the galaxy had thrown at them. The first engines they tested failed. The alien technology was strange, full of systems that did not match human science. Some of the drives burst into sparks, some melted. One even exploded, sending fire across the dockyard. But instead of giving up, the humans gathered the pieces again. They studied them, adjusted them, and tried once more, night after night. Failure turned into learning. Each mistake taught them something new. The broken drives revealed secrets of alien engineering. The rusted weapons showed hidden designs that had been long forgotten. Slowly, humans began to understand. Slowly, the scrap was no longer scrap, it was knowledge. In time, they discovered combinations no alien had ever tried. Human creativity mixed with alien technology, and strange new designs began to appear. Armor that could bend incoming fire without breaking. Weapons that fused energy and solid projectiles together. Engines that roared with a force even the engineers did not expect. Still, the galaxy laughed. Spies carried stories back to alien rulers. Humans are still trying. Their ship is patched together like a child's toy. They work with fire and sweat, but they cannot build greatness from trash. Let them waste their time. When they try to fly it, the ship will tear itself apart. And again the aliens laughed. But the humans did not stop. The captain stood before the nearly finished hull, his voice carrying over the workers. They think this is a toy. They think it is weakness, but you know the truth. Every moment we spend here, every cut, every spark, it is making something greater than they can imagine. The workers cheered, and the sound echoed through the dockyard like thunder. Their arms ached, their eyes burned from long nights, but they kept going. They did not build with hope alone. They built with anger. They built with pride. They built with the desire to prove the galaxy wrong. At last, the day came when the ship began to look like something more than a pile of broken steel. Its frame stood tall, dark, and massive against the night sky. The armor plates were mismatched, some smooth, some rough, but together they gave the ship a shape of raw power. Its engines hummed with life, louder each day, as though they were eager to break free from the dock. The younger workers whispered to each other, "Do you think it will fly? Do you think it will survive a real battle? Do you think it can scare them?" The older ones answered with quiet confidence, "It will. It must." Yet, in the quiet hours of night, fear still lingered. What if the aliens were right? What if the ship was nothing more than a dream built from garbage? The captain felt that doubt too, but he never showed it. To his people, he was unshakable. His eyes always burned with the same fire. One evening, when the final engine was set in place, the captain stood before the crew. He raised his hand and spoke words that would never be forgotten. They gave us scrap. They gave us insult. But we will give them fear. And when this ship rises, the galaxy will remember the name of humanity. The workers erupted in cheers, louder than ever before. Hope was no longer a whisper, it was a roar. The laughter of aliens still filled the stars, but soon, very soon, that laughter would be replaced with silence. For the sparks of determination had become fire, and that fire was shaping a weapon that would change everything. The dockyard was silent when the day finally arrived. For months, the sound of welding, hammering, and grinding had filled the air. Sparks had danced in the night like stars fallen to earth. But now, all was still. Every worker stood together, their eyes fixed on the massive shape that rested in the shadows of the hangar. The ship, it was not pretty. Its armor was jagged, mismatched, and scarred with weld lines. To the untrained eye, it still looked like junk glued together. But to the humans who had built it, the warship was more than steel and wires. It was defiance. It was a promise. The captain walked slowly to the control station. His boots echoed on the metal floor, and the crew watched him with held breath. He placed his hand on the worn panel, covered in both human and alien controls. The ship's systems were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Part human invention, part alien relic, and part something entirely new. He gave a single order: awaken. At first, nothing happened. The dockyard remained silent. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Some feared the worst, that the aliens had been right all along, that their work would end in failure. Then, deep inside the ship, a low rumble began, faint at first, like the growl of a beast stirring from sleep. Lights flickered along the hull, weak sparks glowing in the cracks between steel plates. The rumble grew louder, turning into a roar. The floor trembled beneath their feet. Engines that had once been dead for centuries came to life, reforged by human hands. They howled, pouring out blue fire that lit the night sky above the dockyard. The mismatched armor glowed in the light, and for the first time, the scrap ship looked alive. The workers cheered, some crying with relief. After months of sweat and failure, the ship had answered their call, but the captain did not cheer. His eyes remained locked on the glowing beast before him. To him, this was only the beginning. Above Earth, hidden probes from alien spies watched closely. Their signals carried the news across the galaxy. On alien councils, leaders received the images and burst into laughter. "Look at it," one sneered. "It is ugly. A monster stitched together. It will collapse the moment it moves." Another scoffed. "Humans are desperate children. They think noise and light will make them powerful." But beneath their laughter was unease. Something about the ship felt wrong. Something about the glow of its engines, the way it shook the ground. It was not supposed to be possible. Back in the dockyard, the captain gave another command. "Lift," the engines screamed. Dust and smoke filled the air. The ground shook so violently that workers stumbled. For a moment, the ship stayed where it was, fighting against the chains of gravity. Then slowly it began to rise. Inch by inch, the massive hull lifted from the floor. The roar turned deafening, drowning out even the cheers of the crew, and then it hovered. The ship floated above the dockyard, its shadow covering everyone below. Against all odds, the scrap ship was flying. Tears rolled down the faces of the workers. Some fell to their knees in awe. They had built something impossible. What the galaxy had mocked as garbage was now alive, breathing fire into the night. The captain spoke again, his voice steady. "Engage weapons." Panels slid open along the ship's sides. Cannons, railguns, and energy turrets emerged, all forged from a mix of alien design and human innovation. The weapons hummed with deadly power, their glow casting eerie shadows across the dockyard. But then, a sudden silence. The hum of the weapons died. Warning lights flickered red. Systems crashed one by one. The ship groaned like a beast in pain, and its engines sputtered. With a thunderous crash, it fell back onto the dock, shaking the ground and sending shockwaves through the station. Gasps filled the air. The workers froze in fear. Had it all been for nothing? Was this the end? But the captain stood firm. He placed his hand on the nearest console and whispered words only a few could hear. Every first step falters. Every first breath is weak, but this ship will rise again. The engineers scrambled back into action, running checks, restarting systems, shouting numbers across the control deck. The ship was damaged, yes, but not broken. Its core was alive. Its engines had tasted fire, and even in failure, one truth became clear. The warship was real. The galaxy did not yet know it, but the balance of power had already begun to shift. From the shadows of mockery, a monster had stirred. Soon, the galaxy would hear its roar. The day of truth came sooner than anyone expected. The humans had planned to keep their warship hidden, to repair its faults and strengthen its systems. But the galaxy had other plans. Word of the scrap ship had spread too far, too fast. Rival empires saw it as a chance to humiliate Earth one final time. They sent a fleet, not massive, but large enough to crush what they thought was only a broken toy. Dozens of alien warships appeared on the edge of Earth's system. Sleek, shining vessels bristling with weapons. Their commanders laughed as they hailed the humans. "Bring out your creation. Let us see this miracle of junk, or shall we tear it apart in its cradle?" On Earth, alarms blared. The council gathered, fear written across every face. Humanity's fleets were too small to fight such a force. The only chance, no, the only hope, was the very ship the galaxy mocked. In the dockyard, the captain stood before his crew. He looked into their eyes, reading the same fear, the same doubt. Yet his voice was steady. "This is the moment we built it for. They wanted us to feel shame. Today, we give them fear. Prepare the ship." The engines roared again. This time, stronger, steadier. The massive hull lifted from the dock, shadows spreading over the workers below. Panels locked, weapons armed, and the ship rose into the stars for the first time. As it emerged from Earth's orbit, the alien fleet erupted in laughter across their comms. Their ships spread out like predators circling prey. "Look at it," one alien mocked. "Ugly, broken, a pile of steel pretending to be a warship." "Fire a warning shot," another ordered. "Let us see it crumble before the humans' eyes." A blast of plasma cut through the void, streaking toward the human ship. The crew held their breath. But when the bolt struck, the armor shimmered and held. The mismatched plates had absorbed the hit, bending the energy across their strange new design. The warship shook, but it did not fall. The alien commanders frowned. The laughter softened. The captain gave his first command in battle. "Return fire." The ship's railguns lit up, powered by human ingenuity and alien cores. With a thunderous boom, slugs of solid metal shot across space at impossible speed. They tore through the first alien cruiser, splitting it in half. In an instant, silence spread through the enemy fleet. Then chaos erupted. Alien ships opened fire together, beams of energy and torrents of plasma hammering at the scrap ship. Explosions blossomed across its hull. The crew braced for death. But the armor held again. The alien systems, reforged by human minds, bent but did not break. And then the human weapons answered. Plasma cannons roared, slicing through shields. Railguns punched holes in gleaming alien hulls. Missiles, crafted from repurposed alien warheads, streaked across the void, exploding with terrifying force. One by one, enemy ships fell, their wreckage burning against the black sky. The laughter was gone. On the alien flagship, panic spread. "This is not possible. That ship was scrap." Yet no one could deny the truth. What had been given as an insult was now tearing apart a fleet built by the proud empires of the galaxy. Inside the human warship, the crew fought with everything they had. Systems overloaded. Fires broke out. Warning lights painted the control deck red. But the captain never wavered. His voice cut through the chaos. "Hold steady. Push forward. Make them remember this day." The crew obeyed, their fear burning into determination. The ship moved like a beast unleashed, charging into the heart of the enemy formation. Its weapons carved a path of destruction, leaving only silence and drifting wreckage behind. When the last alien ship fled into hyperspace, the battlefield was quiet. Wrecks floated in the darkness, fires flickering in the void. And at the center, scarred but unbroken, the human warship stood. The crew erupted in cheers. Tears streamed down their faces. They had survived. No, more than that. They had won. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The scrap ship had destroyed an entire fleet. The laughter that once echoed everywhere was silenced. And in its place grew fear. For the first time, the galaxy looked at humanity not as children, not as weaklings, not as a joke. They looked at humanity as a rising power, with a weapon no one had expected. The captain stood on the deck, watching the wreckage drift away. His voice was quiet, but it carried through every heart aboard the ship. They gave us scrap. We gave them destruction. And this is only the beginning. The battlefield was quiet. The wreckage of alien ships drifted across the void like broken bones scattered in space. Flames still burned in the darkness, glowing red against the endless black. At the center of it all, the human warship floated, scarred and battered but alive. Inside the control deck, the crew sat in stunned silence. Their faces were dirty with smoke, their uniforms torn, but their eyes were wide with something stronger than exhaustion. Pride. They had done the impossible. The captain stood at the viewing window, his hands behind his back. He looked out at the remains of the fleet that had come to mock them. Ships from mighty empires once feared across the stars, now reduced to debris. He spoke softly, but every soul on the deck heard him. They thought it was scrap. But now it is legend. Word spread faster than light. Across alien stations, news channels broadcast the battle. Footage showed the human warship tearing through cruisers, shrugging off fire and standing tall at the end. The galaxy that once laughed now whispered in fear. On the council worlds, leaders argued in panic. Some demanded war. Humanity must be crushed before they rise any further. Others urged caution. If one ship can do this, what if they build more? The laughter that once filled their halls was gone, replaced by uneasy silence. Merchants who once mocked humans now spoke, their names in hushed voices. Soldiers from alien fleets whispered stories to one another, afraid but fascinated. They called the ship by a new name, Scrap's Revenge. On Earth, celebrations lit the skies. Cities erupted in cheers as the news arrived. Children looked up at the stars with wide eyes, dreaming of the day they too could serve aboard the ship. Families wept for those lost in the fight, but held their heads high, proud that humanity had finally proven itself. But for the crew, there was no celebration. Not yet. Their ship was wounded. Fires still burned in its hulls. Systems failed with every passing hour. The engineers worked tirelessly to keep it alive, welding plates, patching wires, stabilizing engines. To them, the warship was not just a machine. It was alive. It had breathed, fought, and bled with them. One evening, as the ship drifted near Earth, the captain gathered his crew. His voice was tired but steady, the same voice that had carried them through fire and death. They gave us scrap thinking it would break us. Instead, it forged us. This ship is proof that humanity cannot be broken, cannot be mocked, cannot be dismissed. Today we showed them who we are. Tomorrow, they will remember. The crew answered, with thunderous cheers. Many had lost friends, many bore scars, but none regretted their choice. They knew they had written history with their hands, their sweat, and their courage, and history remembered. Generations later, children across Earth still told the story of the ship born from scrap. They told how the galaxy laughed, how the humans endured, and how one warship silenced the stars. Statues were built in its honor, Not for its beauty, because it was never beautiful, but for its strength, for what it represented. For every time an alien sneered, humanity remembered Scrap's revenge. For every time someone doubted Earth, the story was told again. And with each retelling, the legend grew. But in the silence of space, the warship itself drifted like a shadow, repaired, reforged, improved, waiting for the next challenge. For the galaxy had learned one lesson, carved in fire and steel. Never underestimate humanity. Because when the stars gave them nothing but trash, they built terror. When the galaxy gave them laughter, they answered with fear. And when they gave humanity scrap, humanity made it the deadliest warship in the galaxy. From that day on, no one laughed again.